I was setting the table in our tiny kitchen, lining up the silverware the way Laurel liked it, knife to the right, fork to the left, napkin folded neatly. Even though it was just the two of us, it was habit more than necessity. I had just taken the cranberry sauce off the stove, letting it cool in the white ceramic dish we only brought out for holidays. The scent of orange zest and cinnamon still hung in the air, a hint of the Thanksgiving I thought we were planning together. That's when Laurel said it, soft, too soft. Don't worry about Thanksgiving this year. At first I thought she meant she'd take care of it. I looked up, catching her reflection in the microwave door as she reached for a stack of plates, but she didn't meet my eyes. That's when the back of my neck tightened. Something about the way her voice flattened, like she'd rehearsed it. Like she knew it would land wrong. What do you mean? I asked, keeping my tone light, even as my fingers went still on the napkin I was folding. Did your mom change plans? She hesitated. That half second of silence said more than the next 10 minutes ever could. Then it poured out, not like an apology, but like a confession she hoped I'd just nod through. Melon's bringing her boyfriend this year. It's single quotes S. important first impressions, you know? And my parents already feel a little anxious about the whole thing, so I figured maybe it'd be simpler if you sat this one out. I blinked. Simpler? My voice came out lower than I intended. Laurel winced. I'm not saying you've done anything wrong. I just think it might be better just for this dinner if you gave them space. I swallowed. My throat was dry. You mean give him space? Meline's boyfriend? She nodded, still not looking at me. He's kind of successful, you know? He started a tech company, and my parents wanted it to feel nice, polished. The word rattled around in my chest like a screw in a loose panel. And I'm not? I asked, voice still calm, but there was something sharp under the surface. Because I fix boilers and wear overalls. That's the problem. Laurel finally looked at me. She didn't deny it. It's just one dinner, she said. We've had a hard year. I didn't want to argue about this. But it wasn't just a dinner. It wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was the moment she drew a line and left me on the other side of it, so I'm not invited. I said slowly. She nodded once like it was nothing. A thick silence fell between us, stretching from the edge of the counter to the chipped floor tile by her feet. I looked around the room. Our kitchen. My hands had installed those cabinets. My sweat had paid for that oven. I bled into the calluses on my palms to keep this house standing, month after month. And now, I wasn't good enough to eat cranberry sauce with the people who'd let me carve the turkey last year. I understand, I said finally. My voice barely a whisper, but I didn't understand. Not really. I just knew that if I let myself say anything else, it would come out as a scream or a sob, and I didn't want to give her that satisfaction. I turned back to the table, adjusted the knife I'd already placed down, and forced my hands not to shake. My stomach felt like someone had poured concrete into it. Laurel moved behind me and brushed past. No hug. No hand on the shoulder, just the soft sound of her footsteps fading down the hallway. I stood there for a while, pretending to focus on the layout of the table, pretending it still mattered. The cranberry sauce was starting to set. The air had gone cold. Eventually, I sat down at the table I had set for two. I stared at the place settings untouched. Her napkin still folded, knife still gleaming. She didn't come back to sit with me. She stayed in the bedroom, probably texting Melon or her parents, telling them it was handled. I'd been handled. I took the cranberry dish back to the stove and dumped it in the trash. The clump of red hit the bin with a wet thud like a heart, broken, bruised, tossed aside. Embarrassed her? You're the new boyfriend? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. The tech entrepreneur? He stiffened. I run a startup now. Clean slate. People grow. Sure, I said quietly. But you don't grow character out of nowhere. I turned back to my toolbox, snapping it shut. I paused in the doorway, but didn't turn. Why didn't you say anything before? She asked, her voice uncertain now. At dinner, why didn't you tell us? I almost laughed. Because I wasn't invited. And then I walked out. Back in the van. I sat behind the wheel for a full minute before starting the engine. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear or anger, but from the rush of standing my ground. I hadn't needed to yell or expose anyone. In a dramatic way. Just facts. Simple, cutting truth. And in that moment, I knew something had shifted again. Only this time, it wasn't inside me. It was in them. I drove away with the window cracked, letting the wind sting my face, letting the silence between buildings hum in my ears like a song I hadn't heard in a long time. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't less. I was just early to the truth and finally done pretending it didn't matter. I didn't say a word the day I saw Sterling in that condo. I finished the job, packed my tools, and left without looking back. But my silence wasn't surrender. It was something heavier. Coiled and waiting, on the drive home, my mind kept circling that moment, rewinding Milan's voice as she asked why I hadn't said anything before, as if the answer wasn't obvious. As if she hadn't been sitting at a table I was deliberately cut out of. I got home, turned off my phone, and sat on the couch without taking off my boots. The house was dim and still, the kind of silence that almost dares you to break it. Outside, the wind whistled against the gutters, and somewhere in the distance a car alarm wailed and then stopped. Inside me, something buzzed, like the low thrum of a machine warming up, and I knew that staying quiet would only protect one person, Sterling, and he wasn't worth it. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about making Laurel eat her words or proving anything to the family that discarded me like I was a napkin that didn't match their holiday table. It was about Milan. She was young, a little naive maybe, but not unkind, and she didn't deserve the fallout of his lies. I walked into the small office at the back of the house, what used to be a guest room, until Laurel turned it into her crafting space and then abandoned it. The desk drawer still stuck sometimes when you pulled too hard. I knelt, opened the bottom drawer, and reached behind a stack of warranty files and ductwork manuals. There it was, the old man folder, a little warped with time and the pressure of being forgotten, but I hadn't thrown it out. Some part of me must have known I'd need it. I set the folder on the desk and opened it slowly, the way you open a wound to check if it still hurts. There was the statement from Carla, the waitress who quit after Sterling followed her home. There was the incident report from Theo, the Tin Griddle's manager at the time. His handwriting was sharp and angry, still legible despite the grease stains and faded ink. And then there was my own note, the testimony I gave when I helped them submit the report to the local business bureau. Back then, I thought it would make a difference, that maybe Sterling would face real consequences, but predators have a way of wriggling through the cracks, especially the charming ones, the ones who dress